I'm Courtney Fallon, and welcome to The Game Plan on Reach TV, your insider guide to this week's key NFL action. In The Game Plan, I tap into the Bleav podcast network to bring you the most important information you need to know to stay in the loop. So was your mock draft correct? Of course it wasn't. We saw some radical moves made throughout the 2024 draft. And to go over some of these big questions that we walked away with, let's talk with a friend of the show, Anthony Armstrong from the Bleav in Commanders podcast. Anthony, welcome back to The Game Plan. Are you ready to play 3 and out?
Oh, you know I am. I'm ready to go. How are you?
Could not be happier because now we could step into the next phase of the NFL season. First up, let's start with the early run on quarterbacks. Rookie QB that is most likely to make an impact in 2024 out of most of those that were taken in the early rounds.
Man, there were so many of them that were chosen, 6 and with the top 12 selections, but I'm going to take my vote to JJ Mccarthy. And the reason is he's going to bring that winning gene, that clutch gene that you saw at Michigan, winning a national championship. He brings that to a team that needs it in Minnesota. Take advantage of Justin Jefferson, TJ Hockenson, and the rest of that offense. They're built to win now. And JJ McCarthy's going to have a little spark. He's going to be the one that brings the most impact in 2024.
Okay, staying on the QBs for a moment. Did the Giants make a big mistake by not taking a quarterback at number 6? You know that they have their loyalty to Daniel Jones, but they took Malik Neighbors. To me, I don't know. I think that's a good pick for them, but what's your opinion?
I think that Malik Neighbors is the player that they needed to select. They haven't had that much electricity at the receiver position since OBJ's been gone. Now you get somebody back from LSU back in the building. At least you give Daniel Jones somebody to throw the ball to. Now, next year you get to decide, do you need to add a quarterback then? But right now you have a playmaker, and it's now the ball's back in Daniel Jones' court.
This is the billion-dollar question that everyone wants to talk about, Anthony. Will the Falcons regret not drafting an impact defensive player at number 8 and taking Michael Penix Jr. instead?
Ooh, that's a tough one right there. Because, I mean, they give it up 20 points a game, which isn't that bad, about 14th in the league, but they don't get that many sacks. So when you had Dallas Turner sitting right there for your picking and you decide to go another direction, you better be right. You better be right. So at least I can see that they're planning ahead. Maybe they have a plan, a 2-year plan for Michael Penix, and we'll have to see down the line. But if they're giving up points, then you definitely say, yeah, they could regret this decision.
Okay, let's talk Washington Commanders because you rep them strong and along all day long, forever. Who did you want at number 2, or did you get the guy that you wanted at number 2 with Jayden Daniels? And do you think that Daniels will be the starting quarterback beginning on the season?
Oh, Jayden Daniels was the one that you had to go for, especially once you saw that, Caleb Williams was definitely going to be a Chicago Bear. It was Jayden all day. I think you write that name in Sharpie at the top of the depth chart, but everything around him in the building, in the quarterback room is all set up to help him have success, to provide mentors in the building. I mean, former number 2 overall pick Marcus Mariota is there. So he has somebody that he can lean on and really allow him to just guide this team. But I think the best part, Courtney, is that the team is built where you don't need him to do everything. You've got Bobby Wagner on a strong defense, and now you have good leaders on offense as well. It doesn't have to be all on his shoulder to be successful, but he will help this team win some more games next year.
Anthony, I love the response there, and I'm actually very excited for you guys, even though you did kind of take my favorite quarterback in the draft. But the Patriots, they did all right. Looking ahead to 2024, what would be considered a successful season for the Washington Commanders coming off of a year that they went 4-13?
Man, from the NFC East, where nobody wants to be back-to-back winners of the division, I'm going to say you got to win the division. Now, I'm not going to put pressure on you, but that would be something that would be successful, right? Get that spark that RG3 brought many years ago. I think Jayden can bring that, but not as much pressure put on him because there's just a better overall roster in my mind. So it's just getting into the playoffs. Give DC something to play for that's outside of the scheduled 17 games.
All right, let's talk NFC East. Speak of the devil. In your opinion, which team had the strongest draft? Commanders, possibly, or was it the Eagles or Cowboys or maybe the Giants? I know that's kind of, it might be like against your religion to like go and compliment another rival in the NFC East, given how competitive it is, but just lay it all on the table. Who do you think had the best draft?
When you say that, it made me think of that trade that Adam Peters made in the second round. I was like, dude, anything that you do, just don't trade with Philly. And he did that, but he turned it into 2 quality players. So I got to say, Philly had a strong draft. They got 2 top corners in the kid out of Toledo and then the kid out of Iowa. I won't say their names just for the sake of them being Eagles right now, but congratulations to them. But Washington got 9 players, Courtney. They filled up a position on every spot that they needed across the roster. So give it to the Commanders, give them an A+. They knocked it out of the park this draft.
All right, here's our bonus question. Anthony Armstrong, we love having you on the show. We love having you doing a 3 and out. We love the energy. We love it all. Which team had the best chance to stop the Chiefs from a three-peat in 2024?
It's an AFC West team that has the best chance to stop them, and it's the Chiefs. They're the only ones that can stop themselves because you lost Tyreek Hill, doesn't matter. You know, you throw Taylor Swift in the mix, they win Super Bowls. So whatever you throw at this team, they find a way to win. Andy Reid's one of the best coaches in the game, and you know who Patrick Mahomes is. So as long as you have that combination, you're a favorite. So they're going to have to slip on a banana peel or something because there's nobody else that's going to stop them unless they do.
I love that. Listen, he's thinking in 4D. It's mind games. They can only stop themselves. That's why Anthony Armstrong is so great. Thank you so much for joining us on The Game Plan, and I will see you in the preseason.
All right, that sounds good.
We knew there was going to be a run on quarterbacks in the 2024 draft, but no mock draft had 6 QBs going in the first 12 picks. To break down what went down on the first night of the draft, let's hear from Matt and Phil Simms from the Sims Complete podcast on Bleav. Guys, what are your thoughts on this class?
Thank you, Courtney, and appreciate it, as always, being a part of the Reach TV program. And we are going to do a quick breakdown here from Sims Complete, get Big Phil's thoughts on what he thinks about the top 6 quarterbacks that went in the first round. Really exciting. So at number 1, Caleb Williams. Big guy, what do you got for Caleb Williams, the Chicago Bears?
Nothing but love, baby. I mean, you know, listen, I can't wait to see him play in the NFL. I really can't. And just everything he did at USC, at Oklahoma, and he's dynamic, decision maker. I love the way he throws the football. He's got the perfect touch on it. Of course, his mobility, and you know, he's got a lot of more charisma than I hadn't seen it.
All right, at number 2, Jayden Daniels, the LSU Tiger, is now a commander.
Well, you know, just what do you want to see in an NFL quarterback? He's kind of got it all. So there's nothing to complain about. He might not throw the 30-yard just rifle shot in between defenders down the field, but the rest of it is so dynamic, understands what it's like or what you need to be and who you need to be as a quarterback.
Drake May, the new New England Patriots quarterback.
When you do draft him in these certain spots, Josh Allen up in Buffalo, Drake May's every bit of 6'4". He's a big dude. He's tough, you know, can hang in there, and he's got a big-time arm. So there's a lot to like.
All right, so now the next quarterback pick taken at number 8, the Atlanta Falcons go with Michael Penix.
Michael Penix going into a unique situation with Kirk Cousins. But look, just put your head down. Know you're not the starter. Learn, practice hard. See if you can really get all that talent that he does have that will just fit right into the NFL game. And you and I have said it many times. When everybody sees him throw in person, it's going to be the same thing. Wow.
JJ Mccarthy to the Minnesota Vikings.
I look at JJ McCarthy, and he might have the hardest time of all the top 6 quarterbacks we talk about, I think, you know, finding his way in the NFL. The lack of snaps, the lack of the fact that he doesn't really have every single throw you want in your box. I think he's got to learn a few of those things, but he's got some good coaches around him. So he'll adjust, but I don't think it's going to be as smooth and as easy.
Your thoughts on Bo Nix to the Denver Broncos?
He's a quarterback that's going to be able to handle all this. Is there room for improvement? Yeah. Why can't he improve as much as somebody that's 21? When you go in the NFL, you all improve. If you don't, you won't be playing in the league for long. I have great faith in Bo Nix. I think he's going to transition extremely well.
Absolutely.
To the NFL.
So that's all we got, Courtney. Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk quarterbacks here. That's all from us at Sims Complete. Back to you, Courtney. Thank you.
Well, I have to agree once again with Matt and Phil. Caleb Williams and Jayden Daniels are as close to can't miss as you can get in the NFL. For Drake May, my opinion, he's a sit, watch, and learn guy for at least 6 games. Let Jacoby Brissett set the table, and he'll be ready to go. The Falcons dropped the first wild card in the first round when they drafted Michael Penix Jr. from Washington, 8th overall. When the dust settled in Atlanta, the fallout began. To find out how this pick will affect the 2024 season for the Falcons, let's hear from our buddies Will McFadden and Ovi Mihaly from the Bleav in Falcons podcast. Guys, what happened at number 8? Why are people so upset?
Thanks, Courtney. All right, Ovi, you had the call of the draft in our lead up to the NFL draft. You predicted that the Falcons would take Michael Penix at number 8. Why did you want that to happen, and what are fans missing about this pick?
They're missing a lot because they're giving me some grief, and I knew it was coming. That's why when I called it, they were already saying that's a stupid call. So I think that Michael Penix is going to be great for us because not only can he jump in if Kirk gets hurt, with so much around you going right, and the only piece you need, that's quarterback, why wouldn't you have two of a good thing? I think Michael Penix gives us two great quarterback options, and if we get a second receiver or a defensive end, that'd be great. But if we lose a quarterback, we're back to square one. We're where we were last year, the year before. So I think Michael Penix gives us an insurance policy that we absolutely need.
And you were down at Mercedes-Benz Stadium when the pick was made. What was that atmosphere like? Were you the only person cheering in that building?
It was like me and like one other guy way down there. He was like going crazy. I was going crazy, partially because I was right, but also because I thought it was going to be a great pick. Like, the young man has talent, and everyone does not deny that. They all say it's a bad pick for the Falcons because why'd you pick Kirk Cousins if you're going to pick Michael Penix? You should just pick Michael Penix, use that $180 million for, receivers and line and whatever else. And I hear that. Like, but mine's more valid. You need a quarterback more than you need any other position on this team. That is the most important position on this team, period, end of story. And if Kirk goes down, we don't want to be where we were with Ritter or Marcus Mariota. I'd rather have two strong quarterbacks and a succession plan that we didn't have with Matt Ryan in place.
You make a good point. A lot of Falcons fans I know are frustrated, but Ovi is certainly overjoyed with the Michael Penix pick. Back to you, Courtney.
Okay, so Ovi is sold on Michael Penix Jr., and I do understand the need to have an insurance policy, but will this cause a rift in the locker room down the road? We'll see how it plays out. One could argue that the Bears walked away with one of the best draft classes in 2024 after taking Caleb Williams from USC, number 1, and a top-tier wideout in Rome Odunze out of Washington at number 9. To discuss Chicago's haul, let's hear from Sky Cruz from the Bleav in Bears podcast. Sky, I think this is a rhetorical question, but did the Bears win the draft? I think they did.
Thanks, Courtney. The 2024 NFL Draft is going to go down as one of the more iconic and historic days in Chicago Bears history. With the first overall selection, the Chicago Bears took Caleb Williams, highly coveted quarterback prospect out of USC. This guy has drawn comparisons to the likes of Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, and even Russell Wilson. Williams has 2 goals entering the NFL. The first, surpassing Tom Brady in his Super Bowl victories, and the second, chasing immortality in the city of Chicago. All this guy wants is a seat at the table with the likes of Michael Jordan, Walter Payton, and other Chicago sports legends. And how are the Bears going to help Williams achieve these goals? Well, that's easy. You got to bring in guys like Keenan Allen, Gerald Everett, DeAndre Swift. Oh yeah, and that's right, they used the 9th overall selection on Rome Odunze, the highly talented receiver out of Washington. This guy is going to be able to do it all for the Bears, and I cannot wait to see him learn from the likes of DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. But I want to give you one more prospect that a lot of Bears fans should keep their eye on, and that is the Aussie native Torrey Taylor, the punter out of Iowa. All this guy does is pin opponents within the 10-yard line, and with the Chicago Bears ascending defense, he is going to be a major weapon for the team. I cannot wait to see this team next year and see them fight for the North, take over the division, and never give it back. Thanks, Courtney. Back to you.
Yes, the Bears had a great haul in the first round as they addressed 2 key playmaker positions on offense. Now it's about how quickly Williams and Odunze can adjust to the NFL speeds. LSU announced their authority in the 2024 draft after 3 Tigers were taken in the first round, 2 of those in the top 6. To discuss the impact LSU had in the early rounds of the draft, let's hear from Blake Ruffino from the AYS podcast on Bleav Network. Blake, what do you got for me?
Thanks, Courtney. This LSU draft was very electric, and let's start off with the wide receiver position with 2 guys going in the first round. Obviously, Malik Neighbors going to New York. Worked really well for New York the last time they took an LSU guy in the first round. The ultimate yak guy, the ultimate guy that's going to get you yards after the catch. We saw this year against teams like Alabama, Missouri, Mississippi State, just how versatile Malik Neighbors is in everything that he can do. On the other side of him was Brian Thomas Jr., who is going to Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence is probably loving this pick because he's going to be a guy that's going to be able to take the top off of defenses, and they have a lot of weapons now in Jacksonville. Also took 2 more LSU guys, and Mason Smith and Jordan Jefferson along that defensive line, both guys that they need to step up and help stop the run. But this year's NFL draft, it's got to be highlighted by LSU quarterback Jayden Daniels. I thought and still think the best overall prospect in this year's draft. What the Commanders are getting is obviously what a lot of people have said, but what I Bleav is true. A better prospect when it comes to throwing the football than Lamar Jackson, but still gives you that same type of running ability. Jayden gives you so many different things, not only with his legs and his arm, that he's going to be able to be electric and throwing the ball down the field, running the football. I thought it was the best overall pick, and they went out and protected him. All in all, the LSU draft, just like it normally is, was absolutely electric with a lot of picks. Thanks, Courtney.
That is a great point, Blake. In recent years, LSU has become a factory for high-level wide receivers, and we love it. For the final time this season, we shall play Pick 6 on the game plan, and who better to have in our season finale than Bleav's own Joe DeLeone. Joe, are you ready to break down your draft grades for 2024?
Let's do it.
Joe, we have 6 teams here that you graded either high or low. I will let you decide. I'll kind of tee you up, just as we always do. Let's start with the Steelers. More or less, they got 3 starters in the first 2 rounds and 2 really key inside offensive linemen. What did you like about their drafts?
Yeah, I think that it all starts with their first round selection of taking Troy Fautanu, who's the swing offensive lineman from Washington. But as you mentioned, multiple starters were selected. As in the second round, they took Zach Frazier, the center from West Virginia. And I think an even more underrated piece here is Mason McCormick, the South Dakota State interior offensive lineman. And I also love that they added Roman Wilson, who is a very speedy deep threat, and Peyton Wilson, assuming that injuries don't hold back his career. I am in love with it because, as you said, multiple starters are going to come out of it.
The Bengals, also in their division, they got a starting offensive tackle, Amarius Mims from Georgia. They also took Chris Jenkins. What did you like about the Bengals and what they did? Because, of course, you have to protect Joe Burrow.
Yeah, they had my favorite pick in the first round, and that being Amarius Mims from Georgia. They got him at tremendous value at pick 18. They didn't have to move up. Now, I know that he is a bit boomer bust because he hasn't played a ton of snaps in his college career, but he is an unbelievable athlete at 6'8", over 300 pounds. They not only fixed some of the holes going into next year, they bolstered it by adding 2 players at each position. McKinley Jackson from Texas A&M. He is an unbelievable first step, taking Eric All from Iowa. And then also McLaughlin from Arizona was one of my favorite tight ends in this class. They did a tremendous job of putting together a well-rounded draft class that has a ton of depth for them to succeed in the future.
The Kansas City Chiefs, and they got a speedy wide receiver in the first round, Xavier Worthy, who broke the combine 40-yard dash time. What do you love about this pick for them and their draft in general?
Yeah, certainly Xavier Worthy is the type of guy that the Chiefs look for offensively. 4.21 speed, that is unbelievable. We know that Andy Reid knows how to get creative with guys that are that fast. I also love that Jared Wiley was one of their selections, the tight end from TCU, 6'7", runs a 4.6. Kingsley Somatea, the right tackle from BYU, developmental player who could start this season, who within a year or 2 could turn out to be one of the better tackles in the division. And then lastly, on top of this, them adding Jaden Hicks. This Chiefs class has been reminiscent to what they've done over the past couple of years, which has helped them consistently stay in the Super Bowl conversation.
Close to home, at least here in the Game Plan Studios, is the Miami Dolphins, and Chop Robinson was a big name on draft night, especially in the first round with Mike McDaniel. Seems to love this guy.
I just don't know if Chop Robinson is going to be able to provide as much of an impact as you're getting for where you took him in the first round. I also didn't love their selection of Patrick Paul. I think that they missed out on an opportunity to take Roger Rosengarten. I did, however, though, really like that they selected Jalen Wright, who is very speedy, shifty back out of Tennessee. But the early picks for them, especially Mo Kamara, just not a lot of consistency in their decision making and a lot of question marks if this roster will be good enough for them to get back to the playoffs.
Number 5 on your list is the Baltimore Ravens, and they did take Nate Wiggins out of Clemson in the first round, among others. What did you like or did you not like about the Baltimore Ravens draft?
This was one of the best defenses in the NFL, actually the best defense in the NFL last year. And to add a 6'2" corner that ran a 4.29 to the outside of your defense, on top of this, they took a guy who's going to be a nice pairing opposite in him and TJ Tampa from Iowa State. Roger Rosengarten should be their starting right tackle, high floor player, good athlete, but needs to add a little bit more to his power profile. And then lastly, I'm in love with them getting Adiz Isaac, super high motor pass rusher. I think he could be a long-term starter for them.
I'm just going to give you the floor on our final pick 6 here to talk about the Atlanta Falcons and presumably why Michael Penix Jr. at 8th overall after signing Kirk Cousins to a $100 million deal was a terrible idea.
So I don't know if I'm as critical as everyone else is of the Michael Penix decision, but I absolutely do question it. To bring in somebody who you want to develop to eventually take over is a great plan, but to spend your 8th overall pick when you're trying to figure out how to compete and win the division is really problematic decision-making. It's just a weird decision-making that they didn't try to improve the receiving room, add more weapons when you're trying to make this aggressive push to winning the division.
You heard it here first. Joe DeLeone, thank you so much for joining our final pick 6 of season 1 of The Game Plan. We'll see you in August.
Thanks.
That's all the time we have on The Game Plan today. And we would love to thank all of you from the bottom of our hearts for tuning in to the first official season of The Game Plan on Reach TV. We'll see you in preseason in August. Have a safe trip and enjoy your summer.